when it came time to start like applying for internships and stuff, I thought about that. So I looked on the website. I was like, who can I email about this? And I found Gabe's name. And so I sent Gabe an email. I was like, hey, I'm just wondering, how I can apply. And, just getting to learn all this other stuff about what goes on behind the scenes and setting up for things and planning for things has also just been really cool. It's kind of just a cool way to meet people and to get involved. And like now I feel like I have the skills to write a broadcast script and to, I'm not great at graphic design is not necessarily my best thing. Like now I can get on Adobe Photoshop and make like a little graphic.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Next Gen podcast. Today means we are back with our intern series. I believe last season of the podcast we had quite a few interns on. I was originally an intern. We've had interns from my year who have now gone on to have full-time jobs in radio. We've had interns from last year who went on to be on air, who went on to work for certain teams in the area. And now we're bringing in our new crew of interns, seeing what they're doing and getting to know them a little bit better. Talking about, the very start of your whole journalism career. So today I'm here with the intern who actually gets the, privilege or curse to work closely with me in Easton. So today I'm here with Zach. Zach, welcome in. How's it going?
Thank you. I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Well, today we've talked a little. Zach's gotten kind of the privilege, or
I'd say privilege.
Okay, yeah, to get to see the behind the scenes.
So far.
Right. This morning he was like, "What can I do to help?" And I was like, "Well, normally I do this on my own, but because you're you can do the podcast last. So I feel like you know what we're getting into a little bit, so it'll be good." I told you earlier I do my little quick questions for everyone, so there are no wrong answers, just your gut answers, but I will judge them no matter what they are. So, what is your all-time favorite team?
Well, I would have to say probably the Royals, just because of how long I feel like I've tuned into Royals games and been a fan. Like I would say I'm also a Chiefs fan. Obviously, I'm from KC area, so I'm going to be a fan of the KC teams. But the Chiefs, obviously, it's been easier to fan recently than it was. And I'm not necessarily a fair weather fan, but I'd say the Royals, obviously they were good earlier on when they won the 2015 World Series. And then they've been good recently. But even the kind of years in between, I feel like I've still watched and I've still, been a fan. It's just something fun in the summertime. I love to just like throw on the game at night or, afternoon games. Like it's just, I don't know, there's so many games. It's so easy to just be a fan. And then also I'm going to throw in a quick side answer to KU.
Obviously.
Because obviously I go there now. But I've always, my family's always, my dad went there and my family's kind of always been KU fans. So I feel like I've just always supported KU as well.
Right.
So,
and with the Royals, we just got to listen to Jeff Montgomery came in and did his little intern talk for you guys, which I'm so jealous of. When I was an intern 2 years ago, it was just thrown to the wolves. This year, Gabe's really put together a good course list of things you guys get to learn from. But sitting and listening to him, he's been through the good, the bad, and the ugly with the Royals for the past 40 years, and he still loves his job and he still loves showing up to Kauffman every day. It's kind of like an inspirational little made me be like, shoot, I want to go back to a Royals game, know?
Yeah, that was really cool, especially I guess just because he played.
Right. Yeah, he kind of is the all around.
He has the player perspective and the broadcaster perspective, which is really cool to hear both sides.
Yeah, for sure.
That was awesome.
So obviously not an athlete anymore, but when you were an athlete, what was your lucky number or jersey number? I
always went with 8.
Okay.
It was I don't know if there's necessarily a reason for that. I just like 8. I've kind of always been if I was gonna have a jersey number, I want it to be an even number. I don't know why.
Okay.
Or 5. I don't know. I don't want to be number 13, or 7 or something.
Okay, well I was number 7. That's my lucky number. So
sorry. That's also
you actually need to get out.
Junior.
I know.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
That I didn't mean it. Offend you.
Yeah, it's okay.
But, no, I always went with number 8. I don't know if there wasn't really a reason. It was even. My sister always wore number 4, and so I was I kind of wanted to do 4, but then I was like, I'll do 8.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was no reason really, but it was just a number that I always just.
That does seem like a younger sibling thing. I was always 7, and now my brother's always 17.
Yeah.
And I'm He just threw a 1 in front of my number and called it a day.
Yeah.
It's okay. Creativity not there, but it's
100%.
fine.
And also, I feel like part of it was Mike Moustakis. I was a big Moose fan. I feel like he was probably my favorite Royals player for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe that might have had an effect on that. So
Yeah. All right. Again, not an athlete anymore, but either in your like broadcast journey or when you were still an athlete, did you have any superstitions that you followed? Were you a little stitious? Were you superstitious?
Yeah, I feel like I didn't have, like, really as an athlete, I feel like I really didn't have too many superstitions. I mean, like listening to music, I feel like I always, like to listen to music. Even now, just playing like sports for fun.
Right.
I feel like music is always something that I listen to. I don't. It's not really a superstition, but the song "Dreams and Nightmares" by Meek Mill is a song that I always like to listen to before I, it kind of gets me in that mode. But then I would say, like, just I don't have a ton of experience yet doing broadcasting stuff. I'm trying to but I would say so. Just like I like to not try to do too much. Like I feel like when I start to like try to like drink tea and like steam and like do all this stuff to like help my voice or whatever,
Right.
I feel like that almost gets me to like maybe it's just a mental thing, but I get mad about it or something. So I kind of just like to. I mean, obviously, I want to make sure my voice isn't like groggy or like I just got out of bed or something. But I definitely try not to do too much because then it feels more natural to me. So,
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, now your own question. I don't think we've talked about barbecue, which is so weird. I don't think we've talked about barbecue with anyone yet. But your question you wanted, or maybe Easton's.
I think it was Easton, but
I don't know why.
agree that it was a good question.
Okay, so being a Kansas City guy, what do you think is the best barbecue in Kansas City?
I'm gonna have kind of a multifaceted answer here.
No middle answer.
Yeah, well, I don't want to upset anyone, but I feel like and I've only had this a couple times. Like my favorite that I've ever had is Slaps. It's not as much. I feel like it's not as popular. It's in KCK, I believe.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've been there anyway. I just remember it being like super good. Like I don't remember exactly, like I think it was I had the brisket, which I feel like brisket's kind of my favorite.
Same.
Like that's kind of a very common favorite thing to get at a barbecue place. But I remember the brisket being great, and it's one of those places that they like open in the morning, I don't know, like 10 or something, and then they just go until they run out of like meat for the day, which is cool. So you have to try and get there at like semi early and it's like a small place. Yeah. So it just feels like, I don't know, that's probably my favorite. But then also like Joe's is kind of like the go-to. Right. It's like there's like one right by my house, and it's an easier option that is still very good. And I like the Z-Man sandwich is kind of my go-to. Z-Man was kind of my growing up. So really? Okay. One at like Zach Attack and Z-Man were kind of. So there's your intern nickname right there. We just did it. Oh yeah, that's good. Perfect. That's good. Yeah, because I feel like it's kind of my like, I don't know. I remember like my parents would say, "Oh, there's a sandwich." I was like, "Oh, really? I have to try it." And then I obviously loved it because it's. But yeah, I would say that's my more often, but I think the best I've had is Slaps. Right. Yeah. Can you tell that we both have lived in Kansas our whole life because like we're like into detail about the best barbecue? The barbecue, yeah. Someone from like is gonna listen to this and be like, I just don't understand like the craze. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, and then last one, I told you it was coming. This is my favorite intern question. You gotta pick your favorite, me or Easton. I'm gonna get a non-committal answer. I know he's nowhere around. He's not listening. So I'd love to give a non-committal answer. That I would love to. And I will preface that I am in here with you, right? I'm feeling really inclined to say. Yeah, I did that on purpose. I see this, and I don't want him to hear that. It's okay. He'll just cut that out. He'll word this. So I'm gonna say you because I'm on the podcast right now. Of course, yeah. Easton. Also, like, to be fair, like we've spent more time together than you have with him so far. We're like a weekend. Yeah. But it's okay. Yeah. No, this is no shade to you, Easton. You're great. I love Easton. But it's not. He's gonna cut it out and just be like, I love Easton. Yeah, that's gonna be all that he includes. Yeah. I'm gonna need to get like the raw footage of this just in case. You know what I mean? Be like, use it. Now we've gotten all of that out of the way. Let's jump into, why you're here. How'd you
get to 810? How'd that happen?
Yeah. So I go to KU, and one thing there is they have something called Media Crossroads, and it's like, you know, different shows that you can get involved in and stuff. And one of the professors, Cal Butcher, he's like the kind of the head of that. And so my first day I ever was involved with Media Crossroads at KU, he was kind of talking to us as a group, and one of the things he mentioned, we kind of went around and said what we wanted to do. And one thing that I like really want to do in the future is play-by-play. Like, I love play-by-play, and that's probably my main goal, is to do play-by-play. And so we kind of went around and said what we wanted to do, and I think I said play-by-play, and he was like, "Oh, shit," about doing an internship at a radio station. And so that's kind of where the idea sparked. At a later time, he said something about how some other student from KU in the J school had done an internship here and had a good experience with it. So that was kind of in my head.
Trying to think.
Could have been you.
I'm like, besides for Lainey Boger, I can't think of another recent person who has. So
yeah, I mean, it literally could have been. I don't know, but he just said someone at KU did it, really had a good time with it, really helped them get a lot of experience with stuff. So that was kind of in my head. And when it came time to start like applying for internships and stuff, I thought about that. So I looked on the website. I was like, who can I email about this? And I found Gabe's name. And so I sent Gabe an email. I was like, hey, I'm just wondering, you know, how I can apply. And so I applied, and here we are. So,
and did it take him 3 weeks to email you back?
I don't think so. I'm trying to remember.
Right.
But, you know, I think he was pretty quick to respond.
Gabe cracked up. He wears about 1 million hats in this place. Yeah. And like, you can tell when he has fires to put out in everything. And that's when he really will rely on like me and Easton or some of the interns. Like, he's like, I have 10 responsibilities. Can I count on you to get this one covered? Yeah. That means you're in with Gabe. Which I feel like is valid in any, like, you know.
Yeah, if they're trusting you or something.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're the reliable guy that he knows he can get something done. So sending you on remote. So I think you've had a good start so far.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about those remotes a little bit. Okay. I know obviously we were both there, but for anyone listening who hasn't been to a remote with me, hasn't experienced that, run through what that day looked like. Props to you. I was telling Easton, I was like, that Gabe too. So another props to you. But my least favorite part about getting to a hit or a remote or anything is walking in the business and being like, hi, where's your manager? Do you know who I am? Not who I am, but like why I'm here.
Yeah, it's kind of an awkward thing.
So you, because I'm always running late to things, we were at Ace Hardware, get there early, and I was running late per usual, and he's texting me like, hey, like, what do I do? Where do I go? And I was like, well, you can just wait for me if you want to. Like, I can do the hard part. Nope. Let me go talk to the manager. I got this. So what all from that day do you think you learned?
I mean, it was really just cool to see like that side of things, because I feel like I grew up listening to 810 a decent amount, but I feel like I don't know. I guess I just didn't really realize that there was that whole side of things to like the in-person appearances. And like I think I've occasionally heard like I'm here broadcasting from blank, but it didn't really register in my head like what all goes into that.
Yeah.
So it's just really cool to see, like, I don't know, to get there and yeah, I did, you know, I walked in, I was like, hey, I'm here with 810, where are we supposed to set up, you know, can I talk to a manager or whatever? But it was cool to just get in there and see, you know, people come by, and all these people, you know, they might just be shopping, but it could be people that came to see, you know, Lebo at Ace or whatever, or see Curtis at Bushnell. And I guess it was just, I don't know, it was just cool to see like the setup that goes into it, and then all these people that are coming out to like see the in-person thing. It was just cool to see. And then like also we had like some technical difficulties at Bushnell. We were trying to set up these cameras so that we could, you know, it's more of a practice thing to have the cameras to use at a later date. But we're like struggling with the Wi-Fi there, trying to get the cameras connected to the Wi-Fi, and then also connected to, I think it was Jake's computer. And it was just like it was like, wow, I didn't even think about all this like other like technical stuff that goes into it, like getting the Wi-Fi set up, and all this stuff that, you know, to broadcast different place, it's like there's a lot that goes into that.
And then I wasn't with you at Bushnell, but I did hear that you got to meet the infamous Big Tiger. We've talked about him a little bit on this show. I doubt he listens to this show, but he definitely listens to all of those guys. Tell me your experience getting to like meet some fans. What was that like?
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, Big Tiger, I had obviously heard of him. I didn't know what he looked like or anything. So he came in, and I obviously just assumed it was some other, person that had listened. While I was at Bushnell, we had a couple people come in radio, and that, I guess, it's cool to see, like, people are listening, and then they're actually like driving, and they're like, oh, they're here, like, I'm gonna go there.
And they didn't get lost.
Yeah.
Like you and Easton.
Well, yeah, Bushnell is a hard place to find. The factory outlet can be a slightly hard place to find. I'll say that. Me and Easton had trouble getting there the first time. But yeah, Curtis did a good job on the air of saying, we're on north of 87th on Marshall Drive or whatever. But yeah, Big Tiger came in and he was asking these questions about the Royals, like excited for Tag's debut, all this stuff. I was like, oh, it's cool that these people were talking. And then Easton came up to me. He's like, that's Big Tiger. I was like, oh, seeing a celebrity.
It kind of is around here. He just like pops up like the Easter Bunny at random times.
Yeah.
But he's around. Other than that, what are you looking forward to getting to help out with? You've done a little bit of the remote side. Obviously, you want to do more of the on-air side as well. Yeah. What are you looking forward to throughout your summer here with us?
Man, I mean, really anything. I mean, this is kind of a bad answer, but anything that I can, like to me, I obviously like going for like career goal is more of the on-air side of things, but like there's so much that goes into the production and then also in the sales department and promotions and everything. So, I mean, really as much as I can learn and see, I would say definitely getting to see some of the like on-air stuff and like kind of the preparation for that and what goes into that and what it's like, being in the like producer room, just seeing some of that stuff is definitely kind of what I'm most excited about, but also, just getting to learn all this other stuff about what goes on behind the scenes and setting up for things and planning for things has also just been really cool. So yeah, I'm just really excited in general.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, like I told all the interns last year, but I'm excited for you to get to experience the golf tournament. It's
I forgot
the most fun thing every summer. And I'm always like, I loved it my first year. And I feel like it's such a different atmosphere. It's almost like a team bonding day because we're all tired. We're all running on 4 coffees. And so you'll get to like, instead of seeing like the sales guys that you just see, making sales calls, you get to like get to know the staff on such a more like personal, like friend level almost, including like the other interns. That's where I made friends with the interns my first year. And I'm still friends and talk to those guys. So, and it's fun. I mean, instead of sitting around the office all day, you're out in the sun and you're getting to hang out. We get Joe's for lunch, so that's always a plus.
That's definitely a plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's definitely sounds like it's going to be really fun.
Have you guys started working towards your intern shows that you're doing later this summer?
We have not. I mean, we've obviously talked about it with Gabe. That I have not heard any more about that.
Okay.
That's also something I'm really excited about. I'm sure we're going to get going on that soon.
Yeah.
And if that's something that I need to take initiative on, I don't know if that's like something we set up or if
a little bit of both.
Okay.
Once Gabe puts you guys into groups, because obviously you can't have 23. First of all, we have 23 interns. Absolutely wild. There's only 30 employees.
Wow. So we're almost 100% of the
it's wild
employees.
But yeah, once you're split into little groups, probably of like, I mean, I don't know. Like when I did it, we did like 4 people-ish, but that's like a lot of groups. Then you'll figure out kind of one, we can't just say we're getting on air. Like you said earlier, there's a lot more that goes on to an on-air show. You're not just, okay, we're going to get on air. Okay, no, but like, what are we talking about? Like, is this a baseball related show? Is this a, feature story? And we're going to find a bunch of people to interview. Are we going to interview people or are we all just going to talk? Who's going to be the main host? Who's going to be producing it? Because Easton can, but like if one of you wants to learn that and jump into that role, like that's available too. But then you have to learn how to do that first. How do we prepare for it? Are we going to have a show name? Going to have graphics? There's, obviously a lot of things that go into it. So once you get into your group, you'll be able to kind of talk through that and figure out what do we want our niche thing to be? We're not just going to say, hey, we're talking about sports today, which like, yes, they do that. But obviously the main shows have, you got to figure it out a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think so far that's really the only 810 stuff we have to talk about. So I do want to talk about your career at KU so far. I want to know, a couple of years ago I was doing those shows, but I want to know what's changed, how you got involved in Media Crossroads, what you're doing, what that looks like as a student, who I look at those as jobs. I mean, they're extracurriculars, but they're also kind of a job, even if you're not paid, of you're putting your time and energy towards it. How do you, prepare for that? How do you time manage? How'd you get into all that?
Yeah. So I think, the J school does like opportunities, fairs, and there's definitely a lot of, I'm not actually sure how I probably first heard about it on a college visit, actually.
Okay.
Because I think that was one of the things that I was thinking about, like when I like chose KU, I was like, man, like, have, all these opportunities involved in while you're there, which was cool. So I had a friend who I'm going to be a junior. My freshman year, I didn't really do any of that, which I do regret, but that also means that I had friends freshman year that do it our freshman year. And so they were kind of able to tell me, what it's like and that it's a good opportunity to get involved. So I, went to the first meeting where you get assigned a show or whatever. And Good Morning Kate was one that fit. It was the time that I could do. And so I signed up, and it's been great. It's definitely an extra thing, it's extra stuff you have to think about. I don't see it as homework, to me, or like a job. I do see it as like, you're
something to focus
somewhere.
on. Yeah.
Something you got to show up and do all its responsibilities and whatever. But, I don't I have my homework, and then I have I need to write my script for my segment on Good Morning KU Sports. It's not something that I dread, obviously, which is a good thing. I would hope that it's not something I dread, but yeah, because we would do on Sunday, you fill out a pitch form you pitch a segment.
Yep.
And then your script is due Wednesday, your graphics are due Thursday, and then we do the show Friday morning and then do it all over again. And I think it's also good to just kind of have that schedule. You just have a regular schedule that you're following. And I think that helps kind of prepare you for what it may be like. And obviously you're doing more than one show a week in the real world, but it was just cool to see kind of how that actually works. And I was mostly on air, but I also learned how to run the teleprompter and kind of got to see what the producers of the show do. And it is student produced, which is also cool. It's I kind of got to build the connections with the student producers. Yeah. And also I just made friends.
Yeah.
There's also that's where I would say my closest friends at the J school I met through, doing Good Morning KU Sports. So it's kind of just a cool way to meet people and to get involved. And now I feel like I have the skills to write a broadcast script and to, I'm not great at graphic design, is not necessarily my best thing. Now I can get on Adobe Photoshop and make a little graphic for each, thing that I'm talking about and whatever. So
when you are pitching, is there a certain sport or anything that you're this is my favorite thing to talk about, I'm going to pitch my story to be this?
Yeah, I feel like for me, it's NFL.
Okay.
NFL is, I guess, probably what I'd say I'm most knowledgeable about. Maybe that's just years of doing fantasy football or whatever, and just watching it so faithfully. But I would say the NFL is what, if I could talk about something every week and it had to be the same thing every week, I would 100% choose the NFL. Right. Or maybe college football. I'm also really into football. I would say that would be my pick, but also I feel like a lot of times everyone wants to do the NFL, or everyone wants to do KU basketball. And so, from time to time we'd have to think of new ideas. I'd have to think of what other sport could I talk. So I did one there was last spring. I don't remember exactly when this was, but there was the 4 nations face off in hockey with the US, Finland, Sweden, and Canada. So I did a segment on that, or our very last week I did one on the Kentucky Derby, so it's it's cool to also try and figure out new thing. It can be a challenge to not talk about the NFL every week or the MLB or whatever. But it's definitely I don't know. It was definitely good to try and like branch out and think of new things. But NFL is probably my.
You should look to probably 2 to 3 years ago. I have a friend who did all those shows. His name is Jackson Bezdek. He was actually the very first guest on our show. Like episode 1 of Next Gen was Jackson Bezdek, KU Media Crosswords alum. Now he's working with Nike UWL. He used to, for like Playmakers and everything, cover the NFL pretty heavily.
Mm-hmm.
And he did, I can't remember what it was, like a spoof of or sploof, whatever the word, like a parody, basically. Not a parody, but like he copied the idea and like was trying to make it like them. Was like a 2-minute thing. I'm not going to remember, like I can like envision like the pros that do it, but basically he has like a list of topics and he covers every single like NFL game in a week in 2 minutes. Look back on those if you can find. I'll try to help you find them, but it's basically just a chaotic like I have like 20 seconds to cover every single NFL game this week, and he did a really, really good job at it and got very good at it because own personal style, and then you can compare it to the pros that actually do it on national television. But just an idea. There's Media Crosswords for sure has a alumni network that will help you out. I mean, I reached out to, honestly, about half my guests on this show have probably been a Media Crossroads kid, which is so crazy, or at least if they're on like the non-athlete side, you're the broadcast side. And everyone, I think, especially at KU, the reason I chose KU was the experiences you get day one and the community. I toured a couple different schools for journalism programs, and the reason that I chose KU personally was they were like, everywhere else I went to, I toured Mizzou, not to diss Mizzou because KUMU, but just like from their journalism school point of view, I toured there and was like, okay, so I've been, doing a little bit of on-field experience in high school. That's what I want to do. How do I get there at Mizzou? Like, what are my opportunities? And they're like, well, as a freshman, like you probably won't even get to like have any experience. You're just taking classes to like learn how to write basically. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to get, and then I like the next week went to KU and they're like, what do you want to do? We'll get you on the field day one if that's what you want to do. And I was like, shoot, I'm in, Did you look at any other schools and can you compare some journalism programs to KU's?
Yeah. So I didn't actually know that I wanted to do journalism until which is shocking to me because I feel like as a kid growing up, like that's like what I would have said. Like I feel like that. Like when I think about it, I'm like, oh, I've been like really into sports and like kind of thinking about play-by-play and all these things, like being like, oh, I wish I could do that, like be on TV and all that. I feel like I've had that from the beginning, but for some reason that never clicked in my head as like, oh, I could do journalism, I could do like sports media. And then when it finally did, I was like, oh, that's something I could like major in.
Right.
It was kind of already late, and at that point I knew I wanted to stay like in the area. Like I knew I didn't want to go to like California or New York.
Right.
That was just a personal preference. But the first place I toured for journalism, I actually only toured K-State and KU for journalism.
Okay.
I also looked into Mizzou. I didn't actually tour there. And I obviously knew that Mizzou like did have like a esteemed journalism program. But I looked at K-State first, and it could have just been like, I don't know, like I feel like at K-State, and it's nothing against K-State, but I feel like I went in and I sat down and I just had a meeting and then left. Like, or she just kind of talked about like, oh yeah, it's cool, you can do. And K-State did have like a I don't know if it was the major or it was like the concentration of the major called news and sports media.
Okay.
Or news and sports television media or something like that, where I was like, that's what I want to do because I'm not 100% turned away from news. I'm obviously focused on sports, but so I definitely thought about, I liked having that concentration as like but then KU also just recently added the sports media concentration, which kind of fixed that issue for me. But I did like K-State, but I don't know, it kind of seemed a similar deal where I didn't really see how I could maybe get involved as much. It seemed more like a very education based, which is fine. But when I toured KU, the J school was fairly newly renovated.
Oh yeah, it's like
really
2018
nice
or something.
And that studio is great. Walking in, the first thing you see is the studio, and it's like, I don't know. I got to, on my visit, she took me in, and I don't remember if, I don't think they were actually doing a show, but I think like some people were in the studio.
Yeah, there's always
like,
someone in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were chatting. I think it was probably, maybe it was probably on a Friday. It was probably Playmakers. It was probably like right before Playmakers started. There were people in there. And so I got to like meet them and talk to them, and they were all really nice. And it just seemed like I don't know. It just felt like it fit,
Yeah, I get that for sure.
And like you said, I've had professors say that like at Mizzou, it's great, but they're more like focused on teaching you every single thing you need to know so that when you go out into the workforce, like you know everything and then you apply it. Like I feel like KU's approach is more like you get to learn all the hands-on experience. Like, and I'm sure there is hands-on experience in Mizzou too. But I feel like at KU, like you said, it's so easy to get involved so early. Makes me wish I did it more in my freshman year, but it's a great way to get, like, I don't know.
I think, again, I'm not trying to diss on anyone's program. Again, obviously Mizzou has like such high standard of journalism. I find it really interesting of my friends that are all like recent grad-ish age. All of my friends that did KU journalism are more on like the broadcast hands-on side. My friends that are on the journalism side for Mizzou are like what like jobs they're looking for and everything is more like news, print, that side of journalism, which I find really funny because to me that makes sense. KU is like, you want to be on the field, you want to be on camera, we'll get you on camera. Mizzou is like, we're going to teach you, we're going to have you do like these writing classes first. So it makes sense, honestly. I think it would just be something like if you were in the area looking to go to a journalism, I care really about the broadcast side and want that experience to like, I compare, this is really a stupid example, but I compare journalism and the experience it takes outside of the classroom to being a doctor. I think I do that because my sister is pre-med.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, you can take anatomy class, right? You can take biology class. Does that mean I want you to be like operating on my brain? No, I want you to have worked in the field, And I think it's one of those things kind of like being in a doctorate field, or like a medical field, you kind of have to do both at the same time, I think, to really get the full experience.
For sure.
Personally, I'm a hands-on learner. I think a lot of journalists are. We're very place. But if you told me learn all the rules and 2 years later remember those rules and start applying them to your real life, I'd be like, I'm not going to remember that. So journalism in general is just a weird field where you have to get that in-field experience, I think, to personally learn it. I think you get percent of your knowledge in the field. I mean, Monty earlier was saying like, I'm a computer science like in degree. What am I saying? Major. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah. I was like, just don't know what English is anymore. Like journalism, I think, is so interesting that you can meet journalists who have backgrounds from school that are not journalism related because it's all in field experience. And I think that's like the number one reason why, but you can't just say, oh yeah, I took the classes, I have the degree. Now what do I for things that you're actually going to be doing for your life? So just a little love for KU rant we went on there. I love that. It's just free advertising, You're welcome. Rock Chalk. Other than that, you did get to talk about, so you said play-by-play is your main focus. How did you decide play-by-play versus like color analysts? Like that's always the two things I get confused, I guess, of like, if I was looking on that side, which one would I choose? How did you make your decision?
Well, for me, I partially credit it to my dad because like growing up watching sports with my dad, and this is like what kind of led me down the journalism path anyway from an early age. Like I feel like I would always be curious as to who's like, say you're watching a football game and it's Kevin Harlan and Trent Green. You'd be like, well, Trent Green, was the Chiefs quarterback, former player, whatever. And Kevin Harlan, has a journalism degree from KU, go KU. But he would say, like I feel like I would always hear from my dad, like, oh, that's the guy that has a journalism degree, he does play-by-play. And that kind of sparked my interest initially. I'm like, oh, you can get journalism degree, do play-by-play. And then this is, like, I feel like I've just always kind of, I don't know if I would say had a knack, but like I feel like I've just always been so interested, like watching a game, a lot of times, like I'm not remembering who said this, but some play-by-play announcer has said that if they don't know your job, like if you don't, which is, some people agree with that, some people disagree. But I would say that like something, I feel like I was always thinking about the play-by-play guy and like thinking like whose voice I like the best and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I thought about that, the more I kind of got into it. And I this is really kind of an embarrassing thing to admit, but like I feel like I've heard some people say that, they'd sit down in front of the TV and turn the sound off and like practice with a tape recorder and listen back to it. But something I don't even think, this is why it's kind of embarrassing, is I don't even think I noticed I was doing it at first. But something I'll do is like if I was playing like a video game like Madden or NBA 2K or something, I noticed that like I would have the sound low. I'd naturally just be like doing play-by-play like with the video game. Which
I do that too.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay, I used to have like really bad insomnia, and in the middle of the night when I'm trying to sleep, I would like start thinking of something, and then this is so embarrassing. I can't believe I'm about to like broadcast this to the world. I would literally I'd get like a thought in my head, and then like either be like laying in bed or like sit up in bed and like basically like pretend I was vlogging to my non-existent audience.
Yeah.
And then like when I started doing radio, I was like, this makes a lot of sense. We like to talk a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I'm definitely a big talker. And I feel like also whenever like I would play, this is another kind of level to that like embarrassing thing, but like I would play, like a game like Madden has like a dynasty or a franchise mode where you can pick a team and then you can like do all this stuff where you control the team or whatever.
Yeah.
And I feel like I would like, I don't know, I feel like I would like think in my head, like I would actually like feel like I was the coach, which is like, I mean, that's kind of the point of the, like, that's why they make the game mode. But I feel like I would even like, this is when I was younger, I feel like, but I would like pretend I was like in an interview, like as the coach or something, or like, I don't know. But I just feel like sometimes video games, like if like, I just naturally like feel like I would like, I mean, that was with my imagination. I would always like be like, man, this is something I could do.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I need your take on this because this is my 100% belief is like broadcast, like journalism, but specifically broadcast is for the nerds.
I think that's a fair point. I think.
Okay, were you the star quarterback and you just loved the game, or were you the one on the sideline who was subconsciously analyzing it, like
looking at stats? And yeah.
When you went to a Royals game as a kid, were you like, yay, popcorn and hot dogs, or were you like, oh well, I hope they bring up a different bullpen guy because this guy sucks?
Yeah.
That's the difference, I think, between someone who loves the atmosphere of sports and someone who actually like it's just in your brain to just do it.
Yeah, like. One thing that I always like, I probably don't go to baseball games, like mainly Royals games, as much anymore as I used to, which like I try, I'm just more busy now. But I feel like when I used to go, I would see the other team's starting lineup, and I just feel like I would always try to think of like which, I don't know, like I would try to memorize the other team's lineup and know like where each person played.
Right.
And I do this more in football actually than baseball, like where someone went to college. Like I try to
remember.
Anytime I think of a player and I don't know where they went to college, I look it up and I try to remember it, which I don't know why. I guess that's just an extra stat or something, not a stat, I guess, but an extra like piece of info to have. But I would watch like growing up, I watched like every morning, like in the summer, I'd watch Quick Pitch on, I think it's on ESPN. I'm not sure actually what network it's on, but it's one of those baseball highlight shows. Like helped me learn, player names and learn what these stats meant and stuff like that. And I feel like that really just helped me get and I kind of look at it like that helped me look at it from that perspective. So then throughout like growing up with sports, like I feel like I had that kind of more nerdy, like what's the
okay, this is also, I don't know, nerdy, dorky, whatever, but I have been playing a lot of video games with my brother recently. Don't know why, it's just kind of happened. And he plays a lot of MLB The Show and a lot of NCAA football. That's what we've been like focusing on. And like, I'm not a video game girly, like, so going from like not knowing how to like buttons to press on an Xbox controller to trying to beat my brother who plays like hours and hours in this game, I've started to have a lot of respect for football players, because at first I was going in, I was like, oh, this is fun, like I'm gonna score a touchdown, and then I was like, oh shoot, I have to like be coach outs, I have to be on like and okay, this with this specific team I'm playing in, I should play like a pocket. I don't know. See, I'm still
Yeah,
learning, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was like, shoot, like I feel like through playing those stupid sports video games, my knowledge of the sport has like skyrocketed.
I feel like sometimes playing, like you can make, adjustments like call an audible or whatever,
Yeah.
or change a certain player's route. And I feel like I've gotten better at, like, if I look at the field and I see like what kind of defense they're in, I'm like, oh, I don't like the play I called based on their defense, so I'm going to adjust this player, have this player run like an in route instead of a post or whatever. And it's, I don't know, I feel like I agree that just it really helps. Like, it kind of helps you like know just more in general about different formations and what, recognizing like a certain formation might lead to a certain kind of play and that kind of stuff. I would agree that it really helps. And also, like you said, like being the coach, this is kind of what I was talking about earlier, but with NCAA Football 25, they have like that dynasty game mode. And with that, you do like recruiting and all this stuff. And it really just helps you like figure, like, I don't know, like I never thought I would have the entire, football roster of Coastal Carolina memorized in my mind, because that's the team I picked. I never thought I'd have that memorized in my mind, but just playing this game.
You play as Coastal Carolina?
Yes. And here's why. I did it only in that game mode. If I'm playing like online against someone, I'll play as KU. But I played as Coastal Carolina for a couple reasons. One, I wanted to take it. Now, actually, they are pretty good, usually like conference, but I wanted to pick like a smaller team and like try to or whatever. And two, they have a teal field, like their home field is teal, which I kind of also liked. And I like the uniforms and the color. I don't know. It just kind of felt like the right choice.
But playing as KU at home and like you can hear the campanile in the background and they're actually waving the weed. I'm like, the amount of effort put in.
And they have a new stadium in the game too,
I know. It's so funny.
That's really cool.
It's not even real in real life, but it is in the game.
Yeah.
My go-to is I always play as like a really high-ranked team, like a dynasty football program. So I'm always like in Alabama. I play as Ole Miss a lot because my sister goes there and they're good at football. I know a little bit about them. And then I always, when I'm playing against my like brother or my boyfriend who play a lot, I'm always like, sorry guys, I'm gonna be Alabama. You can be Arkansas State.
Yeah.
Because I need a little bit of like,
Don't take offense, Easton.
Yeah. No, we chose Arkansas State because I was like, it's a smaller school. They're not huge, but I know they're in the game.
They're like one of the worst in the game.
They are.
Like,
but it was like in golf, you have your what's it called?
Handicap.
Yeah, it's my handicap is I get to be in Alabama and you get to be in like a terrible school.
Yeah.
That way we kind of even out a little bit.
And I'm not gonna like toot my own, like I think I'm great. I think I'm good. I'm not like insane or anything.
Right.
But like if I'm playing a friend that's never really played it before, like neither of my roommates last year had played. So like I kind of got them into it. And when we first played, like I would play as like Kent State.
Right.
They would be Oregon, like
Yeah. But it's fun. And like sometimes when I'm playing with them, I'll be like completely honest. I did not know the rules of football very well until like college. I don't know why. Like I would always watch the game and always like know what was going on in general. But even up until recently, like besides for like, okay, we just threw a long pass and they got a touchdown. Like I understand that, right? But I wouldn't understand like the point of the center, the point of like obviously I know like guarding and everything, whatever, blocking. But I didn't really understand play by play what was happening besides for we're trying to get the ball down the field. And I started actually because of journalism, because I started covering football games and sitting through and watching so many games instead of like, oh yeah, it's on TV. I was like, okay, now I'm actually like rooting for a team. I'm here in person. I am on the field. I am like behind the end zone. Started learning it. And I think that through being at more and more games, because like I went to KU games as a kid, but I didn't really pay attention.
Yeah.
Maybe you had a different, like, did you ever play football growing up?
I played flag football.
So like I never really feel like as a young kid, maybe it was as a girl, I don't know. I never learned personally like the small details of football, and it's a very complex game.
Yes.
Baseball, it's easy. It's like, okay, you're going to hit the ball and then you're going to try to get around the bases. Yeah. That's the point of the game. Football is so much more complex. But I feel like we totally just went on a rampage there.
Yeah.
I think this just became like an EA Sports advertisement. So, Jason, I'm going to need the sound effect here.
Football 26 coming out.
I know, I'm hyped. Summer. Isn't it ASU on the cover? Or am I totally making that up?
It could be. Well, it could be like Cam Scatterboot.
I think it is.
I would assume it's.
I think.
Do you know if it's multiple players? Because I know last year was multiple players.
We're
I guess you
Googling.
just look it up. Yeah, last year was multiple players, but I would not be surprised if it was Scadaboo on the cover.
I think it is.
And if it was going to be someone from Arizona State,
it would be him or Sam Levitt.
Or yeah, I guess Levitt.
Alabama wide receiver, White. Oh my gosh.
Oh, Ryan.
Yeah.
Ryan Williams.
Yeah. I just started to say the name wrong. That was just a.
Oh, okay.
Ryan Williams and Ohio State wide receiver Jeremiah Smith.
Oh,
The deluxe edition cover
Oh.
includes a mix of current and former coaches, mascots, athletes, and fans. For some
So
reason,
you
I
might
don't
have that.
believe that. I could have sworn I saw somewhere.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, it could be the deluxe. He's like maybe on the front of the deluxe.
No, it says the deluxe
On the
cover
cover.
includes coaches like Ryan Day from Ohio State, Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame, Kirby Smart from Georgia. Features current players such as Cade, I'm not going to say his name right, Klubnik? Do you know?
Klubnik, yeah.
Okay. From Clemson, Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame, and Nick Singleton from Penn State, as well as former cover stars like Tim Tebow, Reggie.
Yeah.
We've been sitting talking that now I'm
It's
just like
yeah.
the English is not working. And Dinard Robinson. That feels like too much personally. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think, I don't know. It's not like, I don't know. They could have done like one player, one coach, one mascot. Or
Right.
something.
I don't know where I got the Kim Scadabo idea from. That's like
yeah, I don't.
he's on the cover of something. He's doing something right now.
Could be like a magazine, maybe, or something.
I don't know.
Sports Illustrated.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But we've been here long enough. I feel like I just like start hearing the alarm bells in my head that Easton's gonna be like, dude, why
How
is
long
this
is
so
this?
long?
Yeah.
We're at 45 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Too
usually
high,
his
I know.
cutoff for me is 50 minutes before he starts
Okay.
getting annoyed. So it's okay. That just
Yeah.
means we'll have to have you back on sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe in true next gen fashion, we can have you guest star for me and interview whoever you want.
Oh, wow.
Why not?
Yeah.
Give me a week off.
Yeah.
Let's take a break.
Yeah.
You know. Well, Zach, this was always lovely
Yeah,
talking
this
to
was
you.
fun, yeah.
I believe I need to play. We'll have to set that up somehow.
Oh yeah.
It's happening.
I would love to.
Okay.
Love to.
All right, we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Everyone out there, make sure you follow Zach_Newkirk 123 on Instagram. You and your random numbers. Like his
Okay.
email address is the same thing, just like
My
a
mom
random
made
little.
the email for me. So
Okay.
That was not. But I feel like Zach_Newkirk was taken. In fact, there's another Zach Newkirk in Overland Park, Kansas.
Really?
Yeah, and we both did like the same like speed and agility summer camp when we were younger,
Okay.
which is just crazy. But
Yeah.
like,
There's
in
no
the same
other
area,
Alex
like-
Dagies in the area.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, so I don't know. It was probably taken or something. So I was like, oh, I don't want to.
Yeah, do something fancy.
Yeah.
Okay, very last thing before we go. We talked about it earlier for my bingo card. What are you putting on there?
I mean, can it?
Can be whatever you want it to be as long as it's something to do with sports. Or 8-10.
I kind of want to put KU winning a bowl game. Is that too?
That's ballsy, but it's
KU
fine.
football
Okay.
wins a bowl game. Jalen Daniels senior year. That's not too like broad or anything.
I
Does it
mean,
have to be like specific.
That's a
stats or
yes or no
something?
answer, right?
true,
It's either going to
true.
happen or it's not going to happen.
It's gonna happen. Cross my fingers. Cross my fingers. We don't have a last year.
So also just where you're placed on the board right now, I'll have a graphic of what my board looks like. But so you can see, I have across my top row, the only one we've done, only one of them is working. The pink is like it happened. The black means
Oh,
it like didn't
Oh,
happen.
God.
And so I have you right underneath my pink one that did happen. So if you mess up my
Oh, gosh.
I'm gonna be
we've
real
got
upset.
We got until this like December to find out.
I'm just gonna be like nervously watching the
Hey,
stats.
I didn't say KU goes to the college.
Dude,
Bro, yeah.
know who we are.
Hey,
like
you never
you
know.
know, whatever.
Offensive coordinator, it's all gonna be good.
Who knows?
We'll see.
Well, Zach, thank you so much for
Yeah.
being here today. Today, I do have a special surprise for my viewers. Today is actually the start of our summer sponsorship with the Bullpen Bar and Grill. The Bullpen Bar and Grill, I actually work for serving tables on the weekends, but they are going to be helping us out. They're going to be sponsoring the show. We're going to be helping them out. We're actually going to go out there later this week. But throughout this summer, the Next Gen podcast is proud to be brought to you by the Bullpen Bar and Grill, located off 135th and Quivira. Stop in and have some of the best ballpark food in town, great happy hour deals, burgers, dogs, beer, and more. Additionally, stop in to see us on Friday, July 11th from 3 to 5 for even more great deals and maybe see some of the friends and favorites of the podcast. I'll be there. Zach might be there. Easton will be there for sure. We're going to try to get some 810 crew in. We're going to be doing some prizes and giveaways. Bullpen is a locally owned and operated neighborhood bar and grill where the food is hot, the beer is cold, and the service is fantastic. Come in and check us out. Again, that was off 135th and Quivira. I think that is all we got for this episode. Right, so catch us next week. And we'll have maybe we'll have some interns on. This one went pretty well, I'd say. Catch us next week. Wow. English is going down the hill, guys. Catch us next week for another episode. We will catch you then. Bye.